What's up, friends? Today we are here on a brand new e-device, and today is not a skateboard, it is a scooter. So we've got a whole bunch of cams on here because I wanted to get creative and see what I could do with this new perspective. So today we're going to be doing the first ride on the VMAX GT2 Pro e-scooter. And you know, I'm gonna have to change up my talking points a little bit from skateboards, but I'm going to give you guys my first ride impressions on an e-scooter. This is my first time riding an e-scooter besides a rental bird e-scooter, and that was like 3 or 4 years ago. So this should be quite interesting, and I'm going to try to tell you guys all about it on our way around our standard range testing route. And I want to thank VMAX for sending this over and giving me this opportunity to try out a brand new e-device, and we'll see if I like it or not. I'm not honestly sure, but nevertheless, let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so we are on our way now on the VMAX GT2 Pro, and honestly, I think this e-scooter is going to be one of the easiest devices for me to do a first ride on, because scooters are pretty idiot-proof, and they don't really take a ton of skill to ride at this power level. Now, of course, this is not to discount the people that ride those 10,000 or 12,000 watt insane beasts. Of course, that takes a lot more skill, and same thing with even the competition e-scooters, which have a regulated racing circuit in the UK/Europe region. But an e-scooter like this one, I mean, any schmuck off the street can go ahead and start riding that pretty fast. And honestly, I mean, if you have good balance, it's really no problem. Now, I did just get on this e-scooter today for the very first time, and I rode over to my starting location for the routes from my place. And honestly, the very first thing you notice is that it's a little bit wobbly, and the steering is quite sensitive. And this is a little bit different than, you know, an e-skate, where you have to be very intentional about what direction you want to go, versus the e-scooter. I mean, obviously it can, you know, lean and tilt from side to side. So you have a huge difference in the turning performance and response when you compare it to an e-skate that you're standing on top of, right down by the floor. So yeah, very interesting seeing the differences in how something like this turns versus an e-skate. You got to be more intentional, less intentional and more focused on the fine control. But it is quite interesting being this high off the ground and like being able to get different angles on the way you're riding. And I guess first thing I want to talk about is going to be the tires, because you're not going to see tires like this on e-skate. I'm going to pause for 1 second and make sure that we're getting all the angles we need, and then I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So first thing on here is the tires. These are 10-inch tubeless tires, and the fact that they're tubeless is neat. And actually, I was just recently at Rider Fest, which is run by a company called Rider Guide through the Apple Valley Speedway racetrack, and they gave me a bottle of tire slime, which is something that I'm not super used to using on e-skate because they're all mostly inner tube tires. But with these tubeless wheels and tubeless tires, you can get a puncture, and then, you know, the air will just come out. Or if you have tire slime in it, it will help you out by filling up that little hole and stopping the air from escaping. So I'm not going to put any tire slime in this unit because I do have to return this to VMAX as it's a demo unit for review. So I'll have it for a couple weeks. I'll get to mess around with it and ride it, but then after that it'll be going back. So I'm not going to modify this. I might open it up if they let me to see the battery, but if not, no hard feelings. It is their property still. So anyway, the tires feel amazing, and honestly, they take up so much. They take out so much of the bumps in terms of like harsh vibrations, but you can still feel a lot of the impact because, you know, you're standing on a very rigid scooter frame and all of that just goes straight through to your legs. So you want to bend your legs a little bit to get the best experience in that sense. But the tires themselves are doing big work. I can feel it. Jeez. I can feel it and them absorbing the bumps. Now, I didn't actually check the tire pressure from factory, but it feels fine to me. So we're just gonna assume that it's fine, and I mean, they don't look flat, so I think we're good. Anyway, so that's the tires. Now, I'm not really sure what scooter reviewers talk about in their reviews, but I'm just gonna talk about things that stand out to me as someone that has never ridden one. So throttle control is done by a little, I don't even know what to call it, trigger, a little lever on the right handlebar. So you can probably see it in my chest cam. My thumb is controlling the throttle, and you press down to accelerate, and then for braking, we actually have two systems on here, and one of them is the right trigger over here, which is your regen brake from your rear hub motor, and then the left one is going to be your mechanical drum brake on the front. So in combination, you can stop fairly quickly from your top speed and with absolutely zero skidding, which is interesting because you would think that with a drum brake or something like that you would have a lot more braking power, but actually I would say that the regen brake at the back and the drum brake on the front are fairly comparable in terms of how much braking force they offer. So that's quite interesting. Now let's talk a little bit about the power of this thing. This is, according to their website claims, a 500 watt hub motor on the back, and I don't know what kind of speed controller they're using inside, but it's quite smooth and it delivers the power very nicely. There is a little bit of a jerk at slow speed. I don't know if I can demonstrate that here. I'll try in a second. Hold on. We're now on the high speed portion of this route, and I say high speed a little bit liberally because this only maxes out at 19 miles an hour. So we're gonna make sure that we're in sport mode first. So let's stop real quick. And on the screen here, you can see at the bottom, I think, is lifetime miles. We've actually only gone like 1.5 miles on this route, but I had to go back to my house on the first time and get some other stuff, so it's a little bit longer. But anyway, on the upper part, we have an S and a non-S. Non-S is eco mode and S is sport mode, and they claim that the top speed in sport mode is 19 miles an hour and the top speed in eco mode, I don't know, but you would think that it would be lower, but maybe they just have lower acceleration. So let's go into eco mode and let's just max it out from a standstill. 3, 2, 1. Pretty soft start, and we get up to 15 miles an hour, 16 miles an hour, 15, somewhere between 15 and 16 it looks like. And now let's go ahead and hard brake and switch it to sport mode. This is the one thing about scooters, is going 0 miles an hour is a little bit hard because you have to balance it. All right, there we go, max throttle. All right, I do think, and we're still maxing out at about 16 miles an hour, so a little bit shy of the claimed top speed. But we are, I think, getting a little bit more acceleration out of the S mode than the eco mode, which I guess I would expect. But anyway, we just gotta crank out these miles on here, and it's gonna take a little longer than normal because we can only go 16 miles an hour. Normally, on this part of the route, I'd be going between 20 and 25 miles an hour, on my electric skateboard. So this is like a nice chill cruise per se. And honestly, it feels a little bit unsafe going this slow in the bike lane, because now the difference between me and the other cars is a much higher speed, much higher speed difference than on my skateboards. So it feels a little bit worse. But in any case, I guess we're just gonna hold this steady 15 miles an hour for the rest of the ride. Anyway, so that's our speed modes. We have Eco and Sport, and both of them, honestly, they feel pretty similar. And given that Sport is only giving me 1 mile an hour more, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot of point in being in that mode, unless maybe I am stopping all the time and I want that tiny bit of extra acceleration that we get. Now, I could test it and see what the actual seconds to top speed difference is, but I don't have my draggy with me, so we're not doing that today. But maybe you're just better off leaving it Eco all the time. Who knows? I'm going to be trying to ride this scooter for 100 miles before I give it back to the company. We'll see if I'm able to do that. If anything, I want to get at least 50 miles to get a good feel for it. And I think going only 15 miles an hour is going to make that a little bit tough. But hey, it's part of the job. And I want to give you guys my e-skater's opinion on if riding the e-scooter is fun or not. Now, let's see, let's talk about next. The standing platform on here, I'll measure it later or for the full review. It's kind of small, but the nice thing about scooters is since you are balancing it yourself, you can put your feet facing forwards, and you can see that on the other camera right now. You can either put them like side by side, like on a skateboard, but that feels kind of weird. You can put them facing forwards, and I'm not really sure which one I like better. I think I kind of like a weird middle ground of forward and sideways, and like hang off my feet a little bit so I can do some like fun carvy stuff. And I don't know, I think it'll develop as I ride it more, but it's kind of up to rider preference on how you want to stand. But in any case, there's not a whole lot of standing room. This is kind of a small scooter in the world of the super powerful scooters anyway, so to be expected. The grip tape on top of here is kind of like a soft touch rubber more than like actually grippy, and I guess that doesn't really matter that much because you don't really need a ton of grip since you have handlebars to hold on to. But it is worth mentioning that it feels nice. It's not really padded. It's kind of just like standing on the metal with a little bit of extra shoe almost. But it'll keep you in place for the speeds that you're going on this thing. And let's see, what should we talk about next? It's so weird being on a scooter. I've not had this experience before. Let's talk about range. So in this scooter we have a 13S battery. I'm not really sure how many P groups are in it. If I had to guess, I would think it's 13S 4P or 5P. And the 13S battery is claimed to get 37 miles of range. And right now you can see this green circle, I think is the range indicator, and it's still at full. And we've gone 3 miles so far. So that really tells us absolutely nothing about the range of the scooter, but as time goes by, I'll be able to figure out if that is accurate or not. Now, the other thing to know about the battery is that the charger that's included is incredibly slow, but maybe that doesn't matter to you. You get a 2 amp charger, 13S 2 amp, with the scooter, which charges through a barrel plug on the side. And I don't know how long it takes to charge, but it took about an hour and a half to get from 80% to full. And I know that in lithium ion chargers, it takes longer to get through the top of the voltage range than the bottom. So that's not really accurate for estimating how long the whole charge will take, but it's definitely going to be a good few hours. If I had to guess, probably 3 to 4 hours to get to full charge. But again, a lot of skateboards take a long time to charge too, so maybe that's not a huge deal. Now, the one thing I'm really enjoying on here is the turning radius of this scooter is quite small, and that's something that you don't really get on e-skates unless you have a DKP board, and even at that, it's not necessarily going to be as tight as a scooter can get. Now, I'm still not quite as skilled on a scooter as many people are, and I know you can't really see anything right now. It's because I just went off a curb and knocked the camera sideways. But yeah, so turning radius is good, and you can almost, if you lean just right, you could almost turn around in like a sidewalk. And I think that'd be kind of difficult. Let me see if I can see what our turning radius is here. It looks like around 5 feet or something like that. I'm sure if you were able to lean more, you could get a little tighter, but yeah, the turning radius is great. That does make it a little bit easier to ride on sidewalks, which, you know, all the rental scooters say don't ride on sidewalks, so I imagine that you shouldn't ride on sidewalks normally, which is why I'm in the bike lane. But if you have to navigate through some tight sidewalks, the scooter may have an easier time than some of the skateboards. And along with that, the big tires will help with absorbing some of those sidewalk cracks. But yeah. So we're cruising along here. We're getting sort of close to rolling resistance hill, which will be interesting to test how good this thing rolls. I expect it to roll quite well because it's a hub motor at the back, no gearing or anything to slow it down, no belt to slow it down. But honestly, you might actually get higher speed going down the hill than we're able to get at all, which is something that's not very common on skateboards because you're going to be rolling and then slowing down because of your belt drive or whatever. While we're stopped here, I'm just going to mention a couple things. First off, we have turn signals. This is going to be much easier to see at nighttime, obviously, but you got a button on the left here for turn signals, right and left. You've got a light, which is on the front here, and then you've also got a nice little bell. Very loud and pretty annoying, so it should do the job perfectly well. And of course, on a lot of scooters, you can fold the neck down, and you can do the same on here. Got the latch down there, and you've got a brake light that turns on when you're braking back here, and then you have rear turn signals on the bottom as well, and then reflectors on the front. And all of this is to help make it legal in the country that it came from originally, which I believe is Germany. I'll go ahead and check that from my facts table. But yeah, those are some of the features that we got on here, and then of course your front brake on the left, and then your regen brake on the right. All right, so I went ahead and looked up some information on the company that this is coming from. The company VMAX is actually quite interesting. It was founded in 2015, and it originally started as a white label company, and they were buying products from China and reselling them like a lot of people do. Completely valid business model, but it can be difficult to control quality, and a lot of times you can end up with some pretty bad return rates. But after that, they went ahead and started their own OEM in China, and that is where all of these VMAX scooters come out of. So VMAX is actually technically a Swiss company, and the founder was the one that decided to move to the OEM model, which I think is a really good move to control product quality. And that was one thing I noticed when I got this scooter, is that the quality control on here seems to be really good. Almost everything is pretty much perfect to what I would expect the quality to be. Now, another thing to mention here is that this year, and part of the reason why I in particular have this scooter, is because VMAX just launched in the US, and they have a warehouse in California that stocks all of the VMAX scooters. So My scooter came from the VMAX warehouse in California and arrived in like 3 days. And that's pretty great shipping time, similar to companies like X-Way and others who have US warehouses. And wow, I'm going fast down this hill. Yeah, so this VMAX may not, or this Pro, whatever it is, GT2 Pro, may not have 19-mile-an-hour top speed when you're going on flat, but downhill I'm going 20 miles an hour right now, and I want to be careful because first day on a scooter. Actually, let's see how fast we roll. We're just rolling right now. We're up to 21 miles an hour. And I know that you can get wobbles, so I'm going to be really careful here. 24 miles an hour. Woo, 25. Oh boy. I'm going to put on the brakes a little bit. Get some regen braking in there. Slowing down a little bit now. Anyway, VMAX seems to be a pretty good company. Being an OEM themselves, I think, is a really valuable thing that you can't overlook. And it really allows you to depend that their quality is always going to be the same. And that was one of the things they wanted me to mention, I think, but I do think it is a valuable fact and something to be proud of in a sea of people that are just reselling products. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention is a couple more specs on the scooter. The scooter is 45 pounds. And it's not 108. I don't know why the box is labeled 108. I'm guessing they bulk buy labels or something for all the other scooters, but that is fairly decent weight. It's heavier than most heavy e-skates, but you have a huge metal frame on here, handlebars, handle grips, brakes, all kinds of things, so it kind of makes sense. Now, one thing I want to say here, which is quite interesting and something that I noticed when I was looking at the product page, is that the scooter is holding an even 15 miles an hour up this hill. And that means that this scooter is able to scale up the power to provide you with the same top speed, even when it's under a load like this big hill. And that actually is something that is worth pointing out, because a lot of the e-skates that I ride up this hill, they decrease their top speed by 3 to 4 miles an hour at minimum to make it up this hill, just because they're underpowered. Now, this thing, I mean, it's not super powerful, but the fact that it can make it up this hill at the top speed that I've been getting this whole time is worth mentioning. So there you go. Now, after going down that hill at 25 miles an hour, cruising at 15 feels pretty silly. So I kind of wish that this had a bit more top speed. And I'm curious if that could be unlocked through software. I highly doubt that the company would do anything like that, but it is something that I wonder about, because it feels like it's got enough power to get a couple more miles an hour out, and I think that would improve the experience on this scooter a lot. Now, they do have several other models of scooter which I think have higher top speeds, but the fact that we're only hitting 15, 16 on here and not hitting that 19 is a little bit disappointing. Riding along here, the DIYer in me is thinking, can you open this and put a vest in it to unlock some top speed? Because 13S You get 13S, you got your hub motor back there. I think that we could crank out a lot more top speed in here. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that because this is a demo unit, but it does get me thinking, could we get 25 miles an hour in here? Would be interesting. I think you could get a little more power out of a VX2, but hard to say. Hub motors are a little bit weird sometimes, especially bigger ones like the one in here. But you never know. Maybe there's some hidden power in here to unlock. Now, one thing I want to say about this scooter is that having this thumb like lever thing is actually pretty tiring on my thumb. Not like an e-skate where you have a thumb wheel that you just push forwards. This one you have to actively press down, and it's kind of a weird position for your thumb to be in. And another thing, when you go over bumps, a lot of the bump gets transferred into your thumb and you can like come off the trigger, which is a little bit jarring. But the speed controller in here does not respond to controls like that, especially when you're near the top speed, so it doesn't really affect you. It won't throw you off, but it's not necessarily the most comfortable thing to experience. The pricing for this scooter comes in at a couple of different price points, and this one is the GT version, which is the highest range one with the claimed range of 37 miles. And I think this one comes in at $1,200. I'll put the prices on screen right here for the three models, but it seems like it's fairly decent performance. Honestly, I have almost nothing to compare to because I just don't ride scooters. So this is going to be a very open-ended review in terms of performance and stuff because I just don't know a lot of it. But you can pop the front wheel off the ground with the power of the scooter. Not very long, but you can definitely keep it up for a second or so, which is interesting and kind of fun. Easier to do from a standstill. I don't know if you can see that on the rear camera or not. Let's see. You can pop the wheel for a second, which is kind of funny. But yeah, the power is all right. I feel like I could use some more. Mostly I could use some more top speed. The range, honestly, it seems like it's going to be really good because we're almost at the end of this range test. Well, this isn't a range test. We're almost at the end of this first ride. And we still have full bars on the scooter. But to see a more accurate battery percentage, you can actually go into the app, which is very well designed in my opinion. I'll show you guys that in the full review, but in there you can see exact battery percentage. You can also change a couple things. One of the first things of which is that I changed the setting that stops you from riding the scooter without pushing it off, because I think that's really annoying. So if we stop here, I have zero start turned on. So without zero start turned, turn on. Without zero start turned on, I wouldn't be able to start from this speed, which is like 1 mile an hour. You have to push off. But with it on, we can just go ahead and do it. It feels a lot more natural to me than having to push off. But that was one thing I changed. And then the other thing in the app that you can only change in the app is the speed readout. So I changed it from metric to imperial units because we like miles per hour. So anything else to mention? The app is well designed. It's in the Google Play Store, an official app. Has less than 5,000 downloads, probably due to the fact that this just launched in the US. But pretty easy to get, pretty easy to understand, and it actually detects the scooter pretty much instantly. It doesn't have to search for very long. Good stuff. We're gonna take this into a gravel parking lot right now and just see what happens. I might fall off here, but we'll see. These 10-inch wheels are doing some work in here. Yeah, not really happy with this width of tire in this parking lot. Can only handle the hard pack. But it does absorb the bumpies pretty well. Ugh. I've gotten a lot more comfortable on this scooter since we started the ride. And I don't want to knock my camera off, but I'm pretty sure I can go off curbs pretty easily now. and it's pretty intuitive to ride. Honestly, I thought it might be harder, but part of it is probably just because it's not the most powerful scooter out there. But anyway, I'll catch up with you guys in a minute when we get back to our starting location. All right, guys, I've just completed the first lap on this scooter with a total of 8 miles, including the little bit of a roundabout near my house. But we have dropped 0 battery bars, and we actually were down 1 battery bar out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we used 1/7 of the power to go about 8 miles. Now, if that estimate is accurate, that means I'll probably get more range than it's claimed. But we'll have to see when I do some more testing later. But overall, I had a lot more fun on here than I expected to. I really wish the top speed was higher. I got used to it super fast, and it was just kind of slow getting around this loop. There's one safety feature I forgot to mention. If you're holding the brake on either the right or the left hand side, the scooter will not activate. Like I'm pressing the trigger right now while holding the brake, it's not going to do anything. So that's an interesting safety feature. If the brake light is on, you can like look on the back, it will not activate the scooter. So interesting, forgot to mention that. But anyway, ride comfort pretty good, tires really grippy, power it's fine. It does have enough power to get up hills at the advertised speed, well, at your top speed, not the advertised speed for me. But what else is there? Range seems good. Ease of riding. One thing that I will say is really easy about jumping on here for the first time is it only took me about 5 minutes to figure out how to ride it competently, and to get to like a higher level on higher power scooters probably takes a bit longer. And obviously the scooter has no suspension or dampers or anything like that, so I wouldn't want to go super fast on it. But for something to get to your job or whatever, this will work perfectly fine as long as you're okay with going that slow speed. It does feel a little bit dangerous in bike lanes to go that slow of a speed compared to going 30 or 35 on a skateboard, but overall, pretty good experience. Very decent first ride. It's nice out today. It was kind of a relaxing little cruise. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my first impressions on my first scooter ride here. I'm going to be working on a full review for this and try to figure out what the best points are to hit. If there's anything you want to know specifically about the scooter, please let me know down in the comments because this is the first time I'm reviewing a scooter. So if any other scooter reviewer watchers are on this video, please let me know, and I'll try to hit those points. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, keep on riding, and peace out.